If you're a busy executive struggling to lose weight, listen carefully. Your issue isn't motivation, time, nor discipline. And it's definitely not that you don't want it badly enough. Your problem is that your lifestyle is structured in a way that makes fat loss fail by default. My name is Roderick Lashley, and I've been working with executives for close to a decade, helping them to lose massive amounts of weight and keep it off. And today, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest problems I've seen plaguing busy execs in fat loss. And once you see these clearly, you'll finally understand why diets and cardio never stop. Let's start with the one that quietly wrecks everything else: low quadrant 2 activity. You're always in firefighting mode. If you've ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you already know the 4 quadrants. But if you haven't, here's a synopsis of the concept. Stephen Covey, in his best-selling book, outlined a matrix called the time management matrix, with 4 quadrants containing activities defined by increasing urgency on one axis and increasing importance on another axis, such that quadrant 1 was high urgency, high importance activities like medical emergencies, vehicle breakdown, pressing deadlines, last-minute prep for scheduled activities, overdue bills for utilities about to be cut off. You know, the things that need to get done now, or otherwise there will be immediate consequences. Quadrant 2 is low urgency, high importance activities like planning, preventative maintenance, goal setting and vision casting, and relationship building. Things that don't have immediate consequences if not done, but are still very important. And let's just jump to quadrant 4, which is low urgency, low importance stuff like trivia, doom scrolling on social media, complaining about your deadline, pretty much anything that wastes time. Let's be real. Most execs live in a never-ending episode of everything is on fire. You wake up and boom, emails, meetings, deadlines, and it's like someone hit the panic button before you've even had coffee. You reside in quadrant 1. By 5 p.m., you're burnt right out. So what happens next? You crash land in quadrant 4, scrolling Instagram, inhaling junk food, binging Netflix like it's your job. You call it unwinding, but it's more like unconscious. Here's a plot twist nobody talks about. The activities that change your life are found in quadrant 2. In fact, the most productive and effective people have something in common. Their life is filled predominantly with quadrant 2 activities. And you may be thinking, how is it even possible to do anything else? But here's the trick. The more quadrant 2 activities you do, the less quadrant 1 activities you have to deal with. If you did the preventative maintenance on the car, it's less likely to break down. If you set up automated bill payments, you wouldn't have to rush to pay when threatened by the service provider. If you planned for the project, you wouldn't have to be running crazy at the last minute. The stuff that actually changes your body is hiding in quadrant 2. Not urgent, super important, but you never get to it because it's not screaming at you and quadrant 1 is running your life. Things like exercise, meal prep, walking, sleep, planning, all the things that quietly build the health and body you want. But because they aren't on fire, they get ignored until that medical emergency. Then it becomes quadrant 1, and by then it's usually too late. Here's the brutal truth. Fat loss doesn't live in your inbox. It lives in your calendar, protected, non-negotiable. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a strategy problem. The strategy for implementing quadrant 2 activities is that they need to be scheduled as non-negotiable meetings with yourself or someone else who holds you accountable. Until you carve out that space, fat loss will always feel like something you're squeezing in at the last minute, right before it falls apart again. So tomorrow, block 30 minutes for your health and wellness. Choose what you want to do. Exercise, plan meals, or meal prep. It's up to you. Guard it like it's a meeting with Beyonce. That's where the real change starts. Now for the next problem, which is so deceptive, it has a lot of professionals neglecting their health while doing a lot of healthy activity. Don't miss it and fall for the trick. Problem 2, majoring in minors. You're chasing fixes instead of foundations. Let's call it what it is. Living in quadrant 1 turns you into a zombie. Exhausted, stressed, inflamed, and tossing and turning at night like you're auditioning for a mattress commercial. So what do? You go hunting for a magic bullet, a new supplement, a prescription, a hormone hack, some wearable that promises to fix your life, or the latest protocol you heard on a podcast. But here's the truth. That's like trying to fix a sinking boat with a fancy new bucket, when what you really need is to patch the giant hole in the hull. None of these things are evil, but they're just band-aids. You're slapping patches over holes made by poor sleep, chronic stress, eating whatever, whenever, no clue how many calories you're actually eating. Here's the hard truth. No supplement replaces sleep. No pill replaces a calorie deficit. No hack overrides a broken lifestyle. But chasing little fixes feels productive because it means you don't have to change how you actually live. And that's why execs get stuck in analysis paralysis, tinkering with gadgets and supplements while their waistline keeps expanding. Foundations first. Optimize later. Anything else? Just noise. So tonight, skip the supplement aisle. Start with 7 hours of sleep. That's the real upgrade. But here's the kicker. Even if you finally start focusing on the big rocks, there's another trap waiting. We'll talk about that next so that you don't fall into it like many others do. 3. More cardio than strength training. You're treating the symptom, not the cause. Let's talk about the classic executive fat loss playbook. Burn it off. So what do? More cardio, more sweating, more punishment. Because if you're drenched and gasping, it must be working, right? But here's the real problem. You're not burning fat. You're just bailing water out of a sinking boat while the real leak keeps flooding in. You see, your issue isn't just the fat you see. It's what's happening under the hood. Years of sitting in meetings, sky-high stress, barely moving, and losing muscle every year. That's what's slowing your metabolism to crawl. Cardio burns calories today. Muscle burns calories every day, even when you're sitting on yet another Zoom call. Strength training is the patch that fixes the leak. It cranks up your resting metabolism so you burn more even at rest, makes your body handle carbs and sugar better, protects your testosterone, actually makes weight loss stick. But most execs avoid it because it doesn't feel urgent. Results aren't instant. It takes patience, and nobody's got time for that. Then they wonder why the fat comes back the second they step off the treadmill. Cardio is a tool. Muscle is the foundation. Without strength, fat loss is just a temporary illusion. So if you want to stop bailing and finally fix the leak, swap one cardio session this week for 30 minutes of lifting. That's where the real transformation starts. The next habit is what I consider the core issue, and so many people never actually deal with it. Don't miss it and let that be you. Problem 4. Misplaced priority. Capital over health. Let's rip the band-aid off. We live in a world that shouts, health matters, but hands out gold stars for grinding yourself into the dirt. Long hours? Legendary. Burnout? Just a part of the package. Ignoring your body? That's dedication, right? But here's the reality check. It's like spending years building a skyscraper while letting termites eat away at the foundation. You might not see the cracks right away, but one day the whole thing comes crashing down. Look, I get it. We live in a capitalist society and capital pays the bills. But I think we've been tricked into giving capital more credit than it's due, because prioritizing it incorrectly actually is very detrimental. In the Bible, in Matthew chapter 6, verses 24 to 34, Jesus shows us that the result of placing money in the wrong place, which is above God, is anxiety, stress, and worry, and tells us not to worry nor be anxious. And the thing that's next in priority after God is our health, not money. And the stats don't lie. In our capital-focused society, 91% of people from corporate backgrounds die from diseases you can actually mitigate against by changing your lifestyle. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer. That means that in a boardroom of 10 people, 9 of those people will have the quality and quantity of their life reduced by things they have control over. That's crazy. We say health is a priority, but our calendars are stuffed with meetings, not movement. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Money, you can always make more. Your body, you only get one shot. Fat loss isn't only about looking good on the beach. It's about not trading decades of your life for one more zero in your bank account. So if you want to stop playing Russian roulette with your health, block at least an hour this week for your body. It's like your biggest client, because until your health is a non-negotiable asset, fat loss will always get steamrolled by your work. Next up, let's break the trap that keeps even the smartest execs stuck on the hamster wheel. Problem 5. No long-term strategy. You're playing a short game with long consequences. Here's a stat that should make you spill your coffee. 95% of people regain the weight they lose. And if you're a stressed out exec glued to your chair all day, that number is even higher. Why does this keep happening? Because most people treat fat loss like it's a sprint only. Eat less, lose weight, done. That's like trying to win a chess game by only knowing the first move. You keep getting checkmated over and over. Sustainable fat loss isn't just about eating less. It's about building a system that actually works for the long haul. Taking care of your hormones, so your body isn't fighting you every step of the way. Keeping your metabolism fired up. Not slowing it to crawl with endless dieting. Planning when to push and when to recover. Using strategic calorie phases. Sometimes eating less, sometimes eating more. On purpose to keep your metabolism healthy. training cycles, switching up your workouts according to your calorie phase, scheduling recovery like it's a board meeting. Here's what happens if you ignore this. You slash calories forever, your body adapts, your metabolism tanks, your hormones get cranky, and the weight comes back plus interest. Real strategy means fat loss phases, where you push, maintenance phases, where you hold steady, and built-in recovery so you don't burn out. Fat loss isn't a 12-week boot camp. It's a long-term operating system. So here's your micro action. This week, sit and consider which phase you're in versus what phase you actually should be in. If you've not been dieting in an effort to lose weight, you're primed for a weight loss phase. If you've been eating less for more than 3 months and you're not seeing any more movement on the scale, maybe you need to start a recovery phase. Or you may be in the middle of a weight loss phase. But you need to consider what the other phases look like so that you can lock in your progress and not end up like 95% of people. That's how you start building a system that actually lasts. Because if you want results that stick, stop playing checkers with your health, start playing chess.